My name is Nancy Kihara. I'm the co-founder of Sunrise Creameries. It's interesting how I started this business because my background is not in any way food related, but I have a medical background, and that is what I've been doing over the years. How I found myself running the business for yogurt was quite out of where or what that I am used to do. I left employment because I needed to pursue further education, and while I was at it, I realized I had so much free time that needed to be put into use. So there was this business, it was still existing, but I was not actively involved. But now this time I have time and business needs care, and that is how I found myself going to do this business. It was tough, very tough, because I was coming from a corporate, and now from corporate to Jua Kali, the transition was not as easy as I would have thought. You know, most of the time we say, I can leave employment and run my own business. 101, I can tell you it's a whole different ballgame altogether, and the mindset has to really shift for you to actually hack it. And so when I started the business, we used to have an ATM in that particular environment. So we were doing milk, we sell through the ATM. And then now when I came in, I was like, this business needs to translate into something that gives much more revenue. And upon discussions, we agree, okay, let us have another value addition to the same so that the business can make sense. So that's how we started the yogurt business. So of course we started with the usual flavors. What does the market know? Vanilla, strawberry. And the first time we were like, is the quality good, consistency good? The people are taking it, so it's fine. But then I was like, so we need to scale, because I think I was ambitious about this business growing. So you need to scale, and for you to scale, that means whatever you're taking out there, the quality and the consistency, you have to put them into place. So now, the fact that I'm coming from a corporate world where structures and systems and everything is in place, I find myself in a situation where structures, systems, processes, it's me. Shock. This transition took me time to move through it, but over time I had to work with what I can and definitely put a lot of, be conscious that it requires me to do this process. So my transition from corporate to Jua Kali was one whole experience altogether. When I think about it, I'm like, wow, it was not easy, it was not rosy. At many times I thought, I think I should go back to employment, But I had to keep on because I had someone who had to keep me grounded, and it kept telling me that you have what it takes to do this, so just do it. Well, it is one thing for someone to tell you have what it takes, and it is a second thing for you to believe that you have what it takes. Those are two different things altogether. So anyway, I just kept on doing what I need to do, and of course I knew I don't have a vision. This thing needs to grow. Of course I was struggling because in my corporate experience, I never did anything to do customer facing. Now here, everything is customer facing. So suppliers, customers, your own staff. So you have to combine all these experiences and start running your own thing. And of course, you're looking at the quality and consistency and keeping your customer at the end. And so I said, okay, well, so palatable things. Once in a while, what are we able to do now? We do this one now. So steps, we took small steps. Of course, for me, they were giant, but of course, they were going to be put in a way we can be able to manage them. The first time I thought of doing now outside the shop, I looked for someone. I needed someone who can critique the product, tell me the truth about the product. So I looked for this lady. She's my good friend to date. She's called Lona Mwelu. Lona, I asked her, I have this product I would like you to taste, because from the business that you do in catering, I would want my product to always be featured in these particular events. And she said, okay, bring it, I say. So I remember going to her house, going with my product, and showing this is what I do. Of course, she gave me feedback. You can guess how it was. She told me she told me what she liked about the product. Then she told me, but there are things that you need to work on. Or did that give me the motivation? No. I felt deflated. Like, I thought my product was it. Where I was selling, nobody was questioning this product. But here there's someone telling me, there's something I like about it, but you need to do something a little more, and then you'll have it's good. course, I went feeling a bit deflated. I went back to the drawing board. It took me time before I went back to her again. And of course, I worked on the recipe. And then after that, I looked for her again. I was like, this girl will still tell me the truth. So when I had the product, this time I'd even had several flavors. I went to her and told her, I have this product. I would like you to tell me whether now it is meets the quality and the consistency. And when she took it, she was like, wow, you got it. She never expected me to go back anyway. She never did. But now after I went back, she said it is good. I was like, you know, sometimes you need people who will tell you the truth, the real truth, not the people who will tell you for the sake of, you know, making you feel you're there. And after that, I got now the confidence, and I was like, oh, this product can do the thing. Started promoting the product, and well, in my own small scope, I started seeing some changes. And so I moved from vanilla and strawberry, and eventually I have 7 flavors that we are selling. Our product, we are proud of it because of what the qualities that we have seen in it and the feedback that we have received. And what that does is that it has given me the motivation to want to keep adding something unique to our product. That is how now we came up with the yogurt parfait. So yogurt parfait, we take our product, use the cereals and fruits, and there you have a snack on the go. And we felt this is a good product. So that's another product that we now want to release to the market at some point. And that's, I've learned over time that nothing good comes from no sweating. So we really had to sweat through the process. The other thing I realized that had to work for the business is the staffing. Having the right staff to do the job for you, because you can't do everything. You'll get burnt out. So today, if you think you'll handle everything, you handle this part as it works, the other one is falling. So you need also to have people who buys into the vision, who buys into the strategic intent, who wants to walk the whole mile. So having the good staff for me, I think I was lucky. This have become like part of the family. These are people who stuck by us, even when I was telling them, you know me, I don't want us to just have a shop. I want us to have a brand. And by then, even when we were starting, we didn't have a name, we didn't have branding. But then after we got our certification, I was like, you know, now we have to have brand name and everything else. So all that process, of course, mistakes here and there, you do them as you try to learn, as you try to meet your dream. You know, you want to conquer the market. But those lessons now, they ground you. As an entrepreneur, you have dreams, but the reality on the ground is totally different. So now it means you have to align yourself to what's your niche. Once you pick your niche, then identify what your niche wants. Work within that, provide them that, get feedback, because feedback also builds you for that. So for me, my staffing really helped to help us to now to make the transition. I sometimes imagined I'll have branches, dream come true, it will. And the struggles that I experienced, oh my goodness, the struggles were real. For me, they were real because I thought I had all this experience in the corporate world. And when you get into a business, I just need to put this into place and things will just run. And that's not what happened. I realized that, oh, I thought this thing would work like this. And then you see now what you work as I said, in the corporate is not the same when you come to the Juakali, because your clientele also change. So when I was out there, the language, the culture is different, the approach is different. Now, when I am here, I have now to transform and accept that now the clientele that I'm handling is different from the clientele I handled then. And then over time now, I think for me that has prepared me. I can now be on both ends comfortably and fit. Previously, I think I almost got broken, but I had got a very good support system. And this support system kept me now making the next stride. So today I usually say, I'm investor ready. Who wants to invest in my business? Come. I mean, I have learned the ropes. I have known the mistakes. I have known now what works for us. We now have our vision very clear. I have a team that is dedicated to this process. So I think I would say that is basically my learning curve in starting Sunrise. The challenges are there because remember you're facing competitors. That is why as you come into the market, you have also to do your research. What is it you're bringing to the market and what will make you stand out from the rest? So you're going to face competitors. If you're not consistent in your product, if your product has nothing to stand out for it, then you may not survive. So of course there's competition. You will need to do aggressive marketing. Now, if you're like me, where I said I had a challenge because facing the customers, that's not my space. You have to get someone who can do that for you. You know, sometimes even as an entrepreneur, you need to realize your limitations. What am I good at? So if I'm good at strategic vision, if I'm good at running the processes, and I'm not good at marketing, then I'll have a very beautiful product that will go absolutely nowhere. So for me, that is one thing that I learned. Also networking. By networking, people now get to know what products you're selling, you get to learn what people are looking for, what are the gaps that are there. So competition is one. Two, sometimes we have seasons where we have challenges with the milk. Availability, so sometimes it affects the volumes that you're going to do for the production. Basically also sometimes if you don't have the staff who understands the particular vision, that is something I've learned over the time, and you have to make very deliberate decisions. Holding the staff accountable, you know, to the strategic intent. If someone is not buying into that, then again you need to let them go, because what is at risk here is your brand. You have worked so hard, but then where will it go? So staffing is also very key, and I wouldn't say I had a very big challenge, but it's something that I cannot ignore, that it was part of us being the past people we are today. We're online. You'll find us on our Facebook. So we do on Facebook and Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook. We also have an outlet in Pangani. So most of the time that is where we do the selling from. Mainly most of our clients are households. Yes. So when people order, we do the deliveries for them. When the business started, we started by pasteurizing milk. Probably that's why I should have started with the challenges. So when the dream was we'll do pasteurizing of milk and all that, and we started, and one of the challenges was getting quality milk that's you know, from the source. But sometimes it will give you a challenge when there's a problem. So that was our initial problem that we encountered. But over time, we figure, you know, you get those challenges. There's called teething challenges. So now, because we had these machines already, we had to rise early in the morning to go and look for this milk, because that's not actually the name that the business started with when we started. So when we are now thinking, what's the name that this business will run with? Hey, the morning that you need to wake up so that you get the fresh milk from the source, it had to be a sunrise. When sun is rising, you're out there. So, and of course, Creameries to go buy the products. Over time, we have been very lucky because of the supplier relationship that we have had over time. So we get our yogurt from our longest serving supplier. And once we receive the milk, our production runs overnight. So you receive the milk, we do the pasteurization, of course, that to kill the microorganisms and make it safe to drink. But because our process has to continue, then you have to input the product, the other elements, ingredients that make the yogurt. So we put in the sugars at some point. Then with the control of temperatures, you put the culture, after which now you leave it for some time to inoculate. Of course, that the whole process has, each of it has its own timing. So it will happen overnight to allow it to settle. And now the packaging will happen the following morning, where now we put our flavors according to the market need of that particular day, week, or month. As I started, I mentioned that I had left employment to pursue higher learning. So during this time, I'm still telling myself, by the time I am finishing, I need to go with what I went to school for. And now you're nurturing a baby here. This baby has actually surprised me that it's actually forming into something that I never expected. And the reality of it is, how will I run the two? You know, I think I was still suffering from the shock and the fears of what the process that I went through. And I was wondering, do I continue? Do I stop it? But then COVID happened. And now when COVID happened, you know, it disrupted the businesses. And at that point, I think I also had a moment to ask myself, do I really want to continue with it when we come back, or do I want to pursue the other line? So I had a moment of clarity at that point. So I sat back, had discussions, of course, with people who are in my space and who are close to me and who have kept me grounded. And I mentioned that I feel probably I need to have a shift. But there's one thing that I got always reminded of. You have taken a bold step to be where you are. You branded your products, you've already created a market for yourself. You may need to figure out how to get a balance of the two. But now, at the same time, now I got to be able to figure out how do I also continue with the part that I love, that space that I want to be in. And at that point, somehow we halted. Of course, we had some few tragedies, but they're neither here nor there. But I halted now, thinking fully about the expansion like I had before COVID happened. And that break taught me that you also get to realize how well your product is doing in the market, because that's the whole year of COVID, we weren't doing significant sales because of course now we were doing just deliveries and we weren't doing the meal production. Shops were closed basically. So, but we continued with milk. So one thing I knew when I'm coming back is I will do with value addition alone, but probably drop the milk, and that happened. So I completely now stopped doing the selling of the meal and now focused on the yogurt and the lala. And at that point is when it dawned on me that our product was doing well, because when now business started coming back, people would call us and ask, can I get yogurt? Can I get yogurt? I thought I would get away with it and probably take a break and then come back. But then that made us now to continue. Of course, we became innovative. That when people started asking for yogurt, you can't say you don't have. Of course, my found friend Lorna told me, you do not stop a business and expect you'll find it. When you come back, you'll pick from where you stopped. I mean, things are evolving in the business space, so do not drop it. And that for me, getting someone who keeps you grounded, they're almost like your mentor. And also the support, I have wonderful support system that really helped me to figure it out. So of course we came back a little bit innovative in the whole process, picking a lot of lessons from what I probably did not do very right from the beginning. And therefore now from the 2021, I can tell you I have a different view, taking very different trajectory and knowing I'm very clear. I want to do it differently and I'll achieve different results, because now I'm clear what I want to do. Who is my competition? Who are my clients? Where do I find them? When do I, all that's, I got the clarity. I think COVID for me was also a good break to now put my mind together and ask myself, what do I really want? The lessons that I have picked. The kind of experience I have gotten now with the business, I can run a business now. I can start another one and run, because previously I never thought I'm cut for business at all. My support system insisted you have what it takes to run a business. If only you would put your mind into it. Yes, again, doing something that you love is also gives you that the motivation to keep on. Yes, even when things look like they are dim. To have a successful business, the mindset is very important. Are you doing this thing because you saw someone else doing it and you think you can do it? Or are you doing it because it is something that internally you have processed, you have done your research, and you exactly know what it is that you want to do? That is very key, because with the right mindset, there is nothing you can't conquer, because even the challenges that you're going to encounter, you will be creative on how to maneuver through them. So mindset for me is very, very important. The other thing is you need to separate yourself and the failures that happen in the business, because once in a while you think you have everything together, then you fail. What happens to us as human beings when we fail, we do not separate ourselves and the failure. Was it a business failure or was it a personal failure? Because sometimes it is not about you. Could be having an extrinsic factor completely that's brought about that particular event. And therefore, because if you internalize the mistake or the mistakes that are happening, then you start seeing yourself as a failure. But the moment that you accept that that's a learning point, it's an event, it has happened, let it not stall you. You learn from that event and then you proceed. You'll be fine. So let the motivation not be when you fail a little, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not a good person. This failure defines me. Because it's the same thing that happens when someone congratulates you. Oh, you look very smart. You feel nice. Then if someone asks you, what have you won today? So that thing can bother you a whole day than the person who congratulated you. Same thing with failure. If something fails, you start thinking, it's about me. Those are events. Separate events from yourself. Don't have imposter syndrome, because it really stalls you, makes you not progress. That's one. Two, networking. Networking has helped me, especially because I needed to know how this space of business runs. I join groups, I go for trainings, I go for events that are happening. That's where I'll get my connections, that's where I'll get customers. That is where I'll learn something that I did not know, that I was assuming is an area that I want to get into, and you realize, okay, this is not the right direction. I said about staffing, because you need to hold your staff accountable to the strategic intent. So for me, those are some of the things that they're like your Bible. That this is a mantra. These are things that I do not want to go wrong, because they define the success of this particular business. Personal development, you cannot not develop yourself. So you have to keep going out there and learning. What are people doing differently? Because you might think you are doing very well, then out there there's someone who is actually trying to outdo you. So personal development is also very, very key.
Maziwa inatoka kwa shamba, kisha fika hip inafanyiwa test. Kwa hii batch pasteurizer pande ya ndani ndio inakuwa moto, pande ya nje haikuangi moto, na ndio ina warm maziwa. Kwa hii space kuna space inaitwa jacket, ndani yake iko na fiber. Hiyo fiber ndio ina warm side ya ndani, lakini inazuia bado warm side ya nje. Na hii ndio steam, ndio ina warm. This is the source of heat. Na hii steam ndio ina warm. Ukisha weka maziwa hapa, maziwa ina warm up to 45 degrees, then una add starch, corn starch. Ikifika 60 degrees, una add ordinary sugar. Ina heat mpaka 85 degrees. Ikisha fika 85 degrees, una hold for 30 minutes, then unaanza kucool. After holding 30 minutes, unaanza kucool. Una cool up to between 40 and 42 degrees. Between 40 and 42 degrees. Then una inoculate. Kuinoculate ni kuweka the kasha ya yogurt. Rice kashas za yogurt. Then inakaa 8 hours. That is incubation period of 8 hours. Then after 8 hours, unachukua yogurt yako, unapack. Unaweka flavors, unaanza kupack according to the flavors you want. Then we go to the process of packaging. The first thing you do, you come and shake at your yogurt. Then you stir the yogurt to the desired thickness. We are ready to put our flavor and do our packaging.